So we're going to do an experiment at the house here. We have never hatched out any eggs in our lives, but we wanted to try getting some goslings this year, and getting goslings has been very hard to find. So I saw a Facebook Marketplace post where somebody locally had some chickens, or sorry, some geese that had laid. They had the eggs. They were unable to, hatch them themselves, and they were just basically getting rid of them at $1 an egg. So I was like, what the heck? Why not? So we went to the internet, searched around, and it turns out that this incubator from Tractor Supply actually has really good reviews and is big enough to hold goose eggs. Looked pretty good. So so basically we just picked this up. Got the chicken or the goose eggs this morning. You can see the lady that we purchased them from had written the dates on there. They're all between like 5 days or 4 days and a couple weeks, or like a week and a half old. So I'm not sure that some of these older ones, like the ones from 3.7, and I think there's one in there from 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. I'm not so sure those are going to hatch, but we're going to give them a try anyway. I figured for $1 a piece, why not? And the incubator, while it wasn't super cheap, was not real expensive, and we can always use it for our chicken eggs in the future. We're going to get a rooster at some point this year, so next season we will have eggs that'll be fertile, so we can hatch our own chicken eggs as well and sell the chicks if we want to, or just raise them. So I've let this run for a couple hours. Per the instruction manual, it said let it run, put some water in. So you put water in on this side. You can see I got a little water there still. Sorry, I'm trip over dogs here. And on this side, put the water in, let it come up to temperature. Everything I read online says that you should keep goose eggs between 99.5 and 100 degrees. So I had this set to 100 degrees, let it run for a little bit. It got up to 100 degrees. I tested it with a food thermometer. I just kind of lifted the edge of it up, slid it in there, let it sit for a bit, and the temperature did come out to be valid at about 100 degrees, so that was good. I opened the top and put the eggs in there. You can see the temperature has since gone down to about 89 degrees, but that is because I had the top open, right? And I don't think that should be a problem. We're gonna manually turn these. This has an egg turner. I don't know if you can make it out in there, but those egg crates that this is sitting on are not perfectly straight, right? They basically do this throughout the day. But for a goose egg, that's really not going to work. These eggs are just too big to fit in those, so I'm just going to manually turn them. They'll get a little bit of movement from those things moving around, but it's not enough. So what we're going to do is 3 times a day, we're just going to rotate them. So it'll be date side up, then date side down, then date side up, then date side down, like that. And you just basically turn them, over every 3 times a day. But yeah, so this is the start of it. We have absolutely no idea how this is going to go. I don't have super high hopes. I've never hatched any eggs. I don't know if there's any special tricks to it. From what I read, it doesn't seem like it's overly complicated, but when you don't know what you're doing, who knows if you're going to do it right. So we're going to try and figure it out. We're going to come back every week or so, check on it. We'll candle these in a week to see what they look like. We'll candle them again in 2 weeks, see what they look like, and then in 3 weeks what they look like. Goose eggs are supposed to hatch between like 28 and 31 days. So 4 weeks or so from now, and today I believe is like the 17th or something of March. So we got a bit till the middle of April before they start hatching, if they hatch. But we figured we'd make a video about it. We'll do a review of this incubator while we're doing it, right? Because this is our first time using it, and I can't imagine we're the only people that are going out to someplace like Tractor Supply and buying an incubator for the first time. So we'll find out how this guy works. Does it really keep the temperature well? We'll be checking the temperature a couple times a week just to make sure it's solid. You can see the temperature has even gone up since just the beginning of this video a couple minutes ago. And we want to keep the humidity between like 35 and 50% from what I read online. We're going to give that a try too. I'm not exactly sure where to keep it at. For what I read is you want to keep it a little drier when the eggs are incubating, and then once the chicks start hatching, you want to bump the temperature up. So we'll do that. The humidity up. So we'll just definitely be working on that and see what we can do. All right, so we'll check back in a few days, see how things are going. And, by the end of this video, hopefully we'll have some chicks, but we're not sure yet. You'll get to see this in a few minutes, but for us, it'll take about a month. All right, thanks.
We're gonna show the goose eggs inside. And how many are there? Are there? Okay.
I thought you could watch through the window.
Yes.
So we have to rotate them at least 90 degrees 3 times a day. So, and the temperature should be at, it went down, of course, because we opened it, but it stays at 100 degrees, and the humidity stays between 50 and 60 degrees, 60%.
Okay.
And we are currently started at 32 days, and we're at 21, so we're at 12 days in.
And candle tested
last weekend, and we got three of them that look like they were forming. So we'll candle test them again in 2 more days and see if those ones continued. Okay, see if you can see this. So I don't know if you can make that out very well, but there's definitely a mass forming in this egg. So up in this corner here. If you would have watched that a couple weeks ago, it would move, right? And you can see it's not moving really when we change the egg position. So I think that one's growing. So let's get another one here and then see if we can find one that's not growing. So that one is growing. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, this one is really growing. Holy cow, look at that. There is barely any open area left on that. You see that?
Wow.
That is amazing. So it looks like we're 2 for 2 so far. So last week when we tested them, it was kind of hard to tell what was and wasn't growing. You know, it was early on, and when it's early on, it's very difficult to know. Oh, another one. All right, we may have some good batch going on here. So here's another one that has definitely got something going on in there. Yeah. So you can see the mass of stuff happening. Supposedly, if you get the angle right, you can see some veins. I don't think that we'll be able to see that. On a chicken egg, you can see the veins from what I've read. But I'm guessing that a goose egg is a little different. So we're gonna try another one here. So we're 3 for 3. Okay, so this one I don't think is gonna grow. Well, maybe it's just starting. So I don't know if they come at different speeds, right? If maybe some of them will grow faster than others, or some of them just maybe will, you know, not take as well. But this one did not have that dark spot last week, and it's definitely starting something. So far this week, we've got 4 out of 4 that look like they're actually doing something. Last week, there was only 3 that looked like they were doing something, but I have read that they can take time. So this one looks like it's probably not. That's just the yolk in there, and you can see it's still kind of moving around. Pretty sure that one's no good. We'll leave it in there just to see, but I'm pretty sure this one is no good. So that one's there. Let's grab one more. Wow, that's another one that's definitely taken off. So that's a real good one. You can see the huge mass that's in there, the clear delineation between the open area and where the chick is forming. All right, so there's that one. And we'll do one more. This is the last one. This is all 7. So I don't think this one's got anything in it either. That one's just a yolk, it looks like. Although maybe it's starting to. I don't know. Once again, I'm not exactly sure how long some of these take. And if some hatch at, you know, if some progress at different rates than others. This one looks like it might be just getting started, but I'm not sure. So I think for sure we got, you know, 4 that look like they're doing something, maybe 5. And 2 that are probably not, which is pretty good, I think, for you know, for our first time. And we're 2 weeks into it, so we're almost halfway there. Yeah, and we're using this little light that came with the incubator. It actually is pretty good. We have another LED light that I was thinking I would have to use. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's just little LEDs that are in there, and it's really bright. I had read online that some people had a problem using this light with goose eggs because it wasn't bright enough, but maybe they've improved the light since then. This seems to be doing pretty well. And I will say that while it is hard to maintain the humidity in here, there's a couple little tricks that you can do. One of them I read online that has been very, very helpful is to use a baster. The opening in the side here to get the water in is pretty small. And people were trying to pour water in there, and that does not work. But if you take a cup and you fill it, and then you stick the baster in and squeeze it, it goes in there and you don't spill it everywhere. So we've been very successful with that. This has not spilled anywhere. We've had good amount of time. The only thing that I will complain about is that there's no way to really regulate that humidity, at least that I've been able to figure out. The manual says that if you put water in A side, then you can put a little bit in the B side, and that's supposed to regulate it. But I've been very unsuccessful at getting that to do anything. Basically, the humidity is between, like I said, somewhere between 40 and 70%, usually in the 50s and 60s. What I read online is that's fairly similar to what it would be like if an egg was in a nest, you know, under a goose mom. So I guess that's probably okay. We'll find out. But the fact that we have 4 out of 7 that are pretty well on their way, I think is showing that it is working. Now we'll find out, you know, the proof is in the pudding when will they hatch or not. But hopefully so. So anyway, that's our 2-week update. I don't know if you can make that out right there, but there is a goose hatching. So the goose just hatched, so we have the one gosling upstairs that we're going to get ready to bring down here into this brooder. So our brooder is very similar to our chicken brooder. A little bit of a difference is that there'll be less birds in it, of course, and they also have a different water system. This water system is a little less messy and gives a little bit more water. They also get different food. The feed for a goose is different than the feed for a chicken. The chickens that we have, we give them medicated for coccidosis, I think is what it's called. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we give them medication for that, the medicated feed. You can't give that to geese or any waterfowl from what I've read, so we're not doing that. Just like the chickens though, there's a warm side that's under the light. There's a, there's a hot side, a warmer area, and there'll be a nice cool area so they can get away from the heat if they want to. We're gonna go check on her and see how she's doing. We think she's a her because this is a pilgrim goose. And pilgrims, the darker colored ones are girls, the lighter colored ones are boys, and we think that she's a darker color, but we'll see once her feathers all dry out. We're gonna go check on her and see what how she's doing up there. We'll check in here in a second.
Okay, so this is the freshly hatched chick, just hatched.
Well, about 2 hours ago hatched. She's dried off now, so we're gonna bring her down to the brooder and let the other 2 eggs be.
And so she was the first one to get hatched out of here, and we have 2 left.
You're okay.
And how old is she right now?
1 day.
1 day.
Barely 1 day. Just trying to get up into your lap.
Ah.
No. Back it up. Sit.
Yeah.
This is too little to play with you.
Watch from afar there.
Too little to play with you.
Well, it's amazing. The ugliness goes away real quick.
She really wants to get up in your lap.
Okay, she can come up in my lap.
So here we are in the McDonald's parking lot in New Hampshire as we're getting a drink and washing our hands. We drove to a person that had some goslings for sale in Vermont, about 2 hours away from where we live, specifically so we could pick these guys up. So we were unable to hatch more than one, so we only had one, and we felt really bad that our one goose was all by herself. So we were looking on some of the local groups and online forums to see if anybody had anything for sale that was a similar age to our gosling. And the only ones that we could find were these 2 little guys here. They're Sevespool. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but they're like a curly feathered goose. We're not necessarily our first pick, but we figured that any companionship for our little gosling is better than none. So we got this brother-sister pair here, and they've been driving with us back for a little bit here. Well, we should be home in another hour and a half or so. And hopefully it'll give our little gosling some company. Really does seems kind of cruel to have one goose all by herself. You know, they are a flock animal. They like to have companions. So, yeah, so we're picking these guys up. So since the last time you saw these guys, as you can tell, they've gotten a lot bigger. They're starting to actually feather out a little bit. I think they're almost 2.5 weeks old, 3 weeks old, something like that. They're doing great. We've moved them out to the outside brooder where we kept the chicks. Got them under a little bit of heat, even though they don't use it a ton. And I will say that they are little voracious eaters. They love lettuce and grass. We bring them outside to eat grass regularly. But as you can see, give them a little bit of romaine and they just go crazy for it. They're doing great. The two Sevastopol's have been doing really well. Lucy, our goose that we hatched, is doing great. They all get along well. Yeah, growing great, super healthy. They enjoy being outside. They still enjoy being pet and held, so that's good. I'm trying to make sure that we don't end up with a bunch of jerk geese running around. They are quite messy. As you can see, that water is pretty gross. We just filled it less than an hour ago. I gotta come out here a couple times a day just to give them some food. They'll still peck at me a little bit, as you can see, trying to nibble at me, but that's okay. They're pretty good. They're happy. They're healthy. They eat great. They do well. So we're happy with them. Hope you enjoyed coming along with us as we hatched the goose and then picked up the 2 extras. You know, if you like finding out about stuff like this and following along, please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. And click the little bell if you do subscribe and you'll get notified when we update new videos. We'll continue to show how these guys are doing throughout time and how they integrate with our chicken flock so that they can become good chicken guardians. Thanks again for watching.